One of the conversations we're going to have later is on communication and perception.
Sure.
Right? And I would say that I often joke that the pharmaceutical industry is the new favorite villain in Hollywood, right? And also the attitudes.
My friends in the oil industry would debate that, but that's all right.
True. Good. And I also, but I also think the popular skepticism that manifests itself around vaccines, that manifests itself in different stars, looking at indicting the pharmaceutical industry as one that is simply, oh sure, they want us to feed us more pills because that's how they can make money. They don't want to cure us. That erratic point of view becomes more problematic in a consumer-driven environment.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not something. It's always something that was addressed, but it didn't necessarily have to be addressed at a level of intensity that it probably will have to be addressed in the coming years. How do you see that? How do you beat back the Jenny McCarthys of the world, if you will, in this modern environment where consumer voice is going to have more of a say over this industry?
Right. Let's separate it, because I think you have two issues. Because sure. I'm very angry about the Jenny McCarthy. That's stupid.
Yep.
That's from a public health standpoint. That's stupid. It's based on a lie. It's based on a myth, and we're putting children's lives in danger. The woman ought to be arrested. So much for Jenny McCarthy. The other issue is a more important one, and that is that if you look at the promise of the science, and as we sit here right now, there are 7,000 medicines that are currently in clinical trials. And if we look at those 7,000, fully 70% of them have the prospect, they won't all be successful, but they have the prospect of being first in class. There's nothing else like them out there. This is really now an era where we're taking advantage of unlocking the human genome. It's taken longer than we thought and we had hoped, and it's been harder because we turned out to be a little simpler than we had hoped we were. Peanut has more genomes than we do. But it is an era where the promise of the science has never been better. We have the Biomedical Advisory Committee, which is the heads of all of our companies' research and development, and they are talking in the context of most cancers becoming a chronic disease within 3 to 5 years. We are looking at cures for things that we had always talked about in the context of how do you best treat and extend life. That's the promise. We will not be able to deliver that promise to the patients unless we are viewed as credible in the science, credible in the data, credible in the interaction with the people who deliver and determine the suitability of those medicines for patients, and credible directly with the patients themselves. So it is incumbent on us as an industry not only to get the science right, but to make sure that that science is trusted so that we can have the kinds of discussions and education and decision-making that will bring the best science, the best medicine to the patients when they need it at the right time. If we're not credible, then all of the work that we do, like we do 20% of the research and development of all industry-funded research and development in the United States. We're 800,000 people who get up every day and are striving to find cures for unmet medical needs. We are women and men who are trying to solve some of the greatest problems, not only domestically, but globally. But all of it is for naught if people don't trust us. And yeah, it's easy to pick on us. And yeah, we've done some things in the past that make it easier to pick on us. But I think going forward, and I've seen this transition not only in my short period of time in this great position, but from a distance before this, about going back to where we started. And that is, you will always get it right if you think of it first from the patient perspective. And that's what's happening, and it's what needs to continue to happen.